I just want to start this off by saying for every 10 subs I get from now up to 1,000 subs, I'm giving away a key in my Discord, so if you want to join that, click the link below. Before I start this video, I just want to give a shout out to cases.tf. Cases.tf is a new website. They focus on buying and selling crates. So this really helps for a summer update. If you want to buy cases in bulk, you want to sell cases in bulk, do it on cases.tf. They give you a really good price for it, and yeah, tons of people use cases.tf to fund their hobby. But yeah, don't give up on your dreams. Cases.tf. Peace. Hello. I don't usually make tier lists, but I thought it would be pretty fun to do the summer ones because I feel like a lot of the effects are actually pretty good, but people can't seem to come to a consensus. So this is just my opinion on what effects I like the most. Why do I like it? Just from a trader perspective, really. So some of it will include the value of items, why I like them because of the rarity, the value, and all that kind of other shit. But yeah, I mean, let's get started. The first one is Loyalist Coronet, so that's the crown effect. I mean, it's probably my least favorite of the crown effects, mainly because it's so thin. I think a lot of the other crown effects, so we have 2 other crown effects, I think those are slightly thicker, and they have their each of the crown effects have their unique perks. So this one is just thinner. It has like a fiery kind of look to it. I still think it's pretty good. I think there are people who will like it. I think it goes well with certain hats like brass buckets, all that kind of shit. So honestly, I would give this like an A tier. I think it's a fairly unique effect. I think there will be people that want it, and yeah, I mean, I think it can go well with certain hats. It's not overbearing, and it's very unique in what it provides. It's not a 2D effect. I think that's very rare for these kind of like static effects, like we'll see later on. And that's a huge plus for me because I think 2D effects are really disgusting. So wherever you look at it, it looks pretty good, and I do like it quite a lot. There's also a small trail, so if you walk around, there's a very small wispy fire trail, but yeah, A tier. Next one we have is Knight's Prideful Spirit. This is another one of the crown effects. So this one is white. It's slightly different to the previous one. It's a bit thicker. The unique kind of perk to this one is it's not solid, so it jiggles around. When you look around, it jiggles around. Not many people know this. People just think they're all the same. A lot of people like the jiggly effect. You kind of like it or hate it, really. I think it's very clean. They do it in a way that doesn't look that bad, and there's like a small trail behind it, so it does move along when you taunt and all that other stuff. But overall, I think it really depends what you want to do with it. A lot of people do like it because it's fairly easy to combo. You can do it with stuff like Frostbite. Of course, you need a Frostbite Misc or a quick switch with this, so that wouldn't be cheap. But I would like to put this in top of A tier. I think it's a very unique effect. I don't think there are many effects that can replace it. So a lot of people for yellow effects, they go for the halo. They have the electric hat protector and sunbeams. I feel like this could kind of be the white version of that. So you have like Frostbite or white energy in this. I think it could be a pretty cool combo. But actually no. I think in the context of summer event, I think this is S tier. I think this is probably one of the best effects for the summer event. I feel like what it provides is very unique. I feel like not many hats can do that. I feel like it's very bright, it's very visible. You can see it from a long way away. It's very obvious what it is. Yeah, and of course like that wispy kind of trail to it. It really depends whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, it's probably an A tier. If you do like it, probably S tier. Not many people realize they can do this. All the crown effects have their special things. So next one we're gonna look at Baron's Cherish Chaplet. These names are very long. Also another one of the crown effects. I think this one is also gonna be pretty good. So this one is a yellow version. It's a solid line, kind of like the white one. Or not really like the white one. It's more similar to the fire ones. This one is a lot thicker. It has the thickness of the white one, but it's not wispy, so it doesn't kind of trail around. There is a small trail to it, like a small yellow trail, and it's just a solid version of the white one. It's yellow. What I do like about it is they're all unique. I think that's the very cool part of it, and it has like these little droplets coming out of it, and I think that's pretty cool. Like I do like the way that it looks. I do have a scout set of it, so this is a hat that I do have, and yeah, I mean I think it looks pretty good. I think I have a clean scout set. Yeah, I'll just take this off. So, I don't know, I think it's a pretty clean effect. I mean, if you're going for something clean, you don't want a fuck ton of unusuals on your head. I think it's a nice effect. I think it goes well with, you know, brass buckets, all that kind of stuff. So, it's hard to really put it down. I think what it provides is fairly unique. It goes very well with sunbeams. It's very, very bright, so you can see it across the map almost. Like, it's a very bright effect, so I would put this in S tier with Knight's Prideful Spirit. In fact, I would probably put it ahead, because to some extent for Knight's Prideful Spirit, it's arguable that people may or may not like it. I feel like for this one, it's good. It's really good. The people that want it will want it a lot, and yeah, I think it just looks amazing. It's really hard to kind of contest that. Next we have Lure of the Deep. So for this one, yeah, I don't like it very much. Like, I think it's pretty unique. I've seen it on the workshop for quite a while. I would say it's probably one of the best 2D effects. But that being said, I don't like 2D effects, and most people don't like it because, yeah, it looks good from this angle, but if I say, like, if I move here or here or here, it just doesn't look as good anymore. Like, I think it's fairly unique in what it provides. There's a lot of combo potential for, like, you know, fish themed hats like the Neptune's pyro thing and glow from below. So I won't like write it off, but I would say it's probably I don't know, it's hard to give it a value, but it's definitely not one of the top ones. I would put it in probably D tier. I really don't like it. Yeah, I think it's hard to find someone that really wants it. You would have to go probably the head prize route if you wanted one, like if you wanted to sell one, you know. Like I wouldn't buy it. Like if a decorated veteran was unboxed, I probably wouldn't buy it. I don't know, I just would find it hard to find a buyer for it. They're just better effects. Like, yeah, it's a 2D effect, yeah, it's probably the best 2D effect, but why would you want to get the best 2D effect when you can just get a 3D effect? Like, I would take the crown over this, like, easily any day. As for visibility, I mean, that's kind of the issue of 2D effects. It's, yeah, you can see there's something there, but it's not really obvious what it is. It kind of looks like the demonic impaler, you know, those horn effects from over here. So I don't know, I feel like it's really hard to put on a list. 2D effects are just not great, so I'll put this in probably D tier. Next one we have is Violet Viridian. Yeah, so Violent Viridian, my bad. I was thinking why is it not green? This one is slightly different to the team colored one. There's no like glow thing in front. It's not like the anglerfish thing. I think this is fairly decent actually. Like compared to the previous one, I think this is a lot more visible. It's a lot brighter. At distance, you know, it's way brighter. You can see way more of it. The effect itself looks a lot better. I mean, from like these things will always suck when you look at it from the front. So I'm glad they put some flaps here to kind of counteract the fact that it's 2D. But yeah, I mean, I would have to see what the purple one goes. This probably still goes in D tier, but it's probably one. It's better than the team colored one, of course. Next one we have Magenta Monstrum. It's another one of those fish effects. It's kind of like the green one, except it's purple. People generally like purple stuff a bit more, so I would be inclined to say this is probably gonna be worth more. I don't like either of them, to be honest. It's kind of hard to, you know, give a tier for it. I would probably still put it in D tier, but I think how it goes for the the fish hats, the fish effects, it would be purple, green, and then team colored. I think the purple is probably, it's the nicest. It has a very nice gradient, so it goes from like pink to purple, and it looks, I mean, it looks okay for a 2D effect. It's not the worst. The green one goes from white to green. It's very bright, but it lacks, you know, the color depth that this one has. This one has pretty nice colors. Could go well with like Spellbound or something if you had a Spellbound misc, but yeah, this is probably the best 2D fish effect. Next one we have Rainbow Reverie. Rainbow Reverie. So they did buff this. They changed this once. This is the changed version. It used to be smaller. They made it bigger. And it's basically just upgraded sunbeams. It's just upgraded sunbeams. That's kind of the problem with these like upgraded effects, is you would always be competing with something. So the good part is it does look better than sunbeams, so you're not really losing out on much. But there's just something to keep in mind. You are competing with sunbeams, and you know, if sunbeams is a lot cheaper than Reverie, then someone is probably going to cop sunbeams instead. Reverie is unique in that it provides that rainbow kind of effect, but you know, if a Reverie hat is 500 keys and a sunbeams hat is 300, then you know, I don't know if someone would really pay that extra for the Reverie. I don't think what it provides is that unique to the point where people would kind of shell out the dough for it. I don't believe it has a trail. Yeah, it doesn't have a trail. It's a fairly big effect. I think it's fairly visible. Let's take a look. Yeah, I mean, it's a very visible effect. You can easily tell it's Rainbow Reverie, so maybe, you know, people buy it based on that, but I'm a fan of it. I do like it, but I just feel like it's not something as unique as a crown, where people would, you know, actively shell out money for it. It's more like, that's a cool hat, I'll buy it. Because, you know, I know a Rainbow Reverie Jungle Reef was sold for 900 keys, spot by my friend. You know, if there was a Sunbeams Jungle Reef for like 300, 400 keys, I would probably buy the Sunbeams Jungle Reef. I don't know. I don't see a point in paying like a crap ton more for an event effect, unless it's going to be one of one. So that's probably the only situation where I would say that it's kind of worth it, is that, you know, if you buy a Rainbow Reverie hat and stays one of one, then okay, that's really cool. But yeah, I would probably put this, within the context of the event, I would put this in high A tier, maybe S tier. But yeah, I just don't like effects that are an upgraded version of another effect, especially if they don't do something like super unique. Previously we had Stellar Ascent and Celestial Summit. I think those really improved on Spellbound and Arcana. Those are very bright. Spellbound is cool, but it had the issue of visibility. It's a very dull effect, and yeah, Stellar Ascent kind of is very bright. So I like how Stellar Ascent changed it. I think this is, I wouldn't say too close to Sunbeams, but it is very similar to Sunbeams. So I can't really justify putting it in S. I'll probably put it in high A tier. Next one we have is Cuban Smoke. So a lot of people, they do like Cuban Smoke. You know, let me check if there's a trail. I'm not too sure if there's a trail on this one. I think it does. Like, yeah, it has a pretty cool trail. Like the tornado thing shifts a bit. I don't like it. I think it's not very unique. I feel like a lot of effects can take the place of it. You know, it's cool if you pair it with burning. Like, it's a pretty nice burning combo effect. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really like it that much. Like, if you're gonna buy a Cuban Smoke and a burning, you'd need a burning misc or a Cuban Smoke quick switch misc. If I'm buying a quick switch Cuban Smoke misc, I don't know. Personally, I would just buy a like orange bat misc or something, or an orange bat hat and get a burning misc. I think that looks a lot better. Like, something burning this way comes and burning. I wouldn't go for the Cuban Smoke. It almost feels like a budget option to like something burning. But the thing is, if you can afford a burning misc, then, you know, you'd probably be able to afford a something burning hat, because those usually go cheaper. So, you know, as for target market, I would probably put this as like, okay, it's nice as a quick switch misc. or maybe on lower tier hats. But like if you're talking about like high tier hats, I can see it struggling a lot to sell. I wouldn't personally buy a high tier hat with Cuban Smoke. I feel like it will brick. Your target market is just so small. You would have to find someone that just likes Cuban Smoke. I mean, they would take Burning over Cuban Smoke, right? So, you know, if you pay the same price, again, like the issue of Rainbow Reverie, it's competing. You know, I would easily take Burning over Cuban Smoke. So unless you can get Cuban Smoke for way under Burning, which is not going to happen because it's an event effect, especially on high tier hats, then yeah, I don't see a reason for it existing really. I don't really like the effect. I think it's okay. People really like it, like they say it fits TF2. I don't really think it fits TF2. Art style really fits the game. Like it's too detailed, you know. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of this. I would probably put this in C tier. Like potentially like a low C tier. I really don't like it. Next one we have is Melting Mohawk. So Melting Mohawk is another one of those 2D effects. Again, I'm not a big fan of the 2D effects. It's fairly visible from range, but problem with these 2D effects is every time you go at range, you can't really tell what it is. Again, you know, it's like it's a cool burning. Like from the side, it's pretty cool. I just wish it was if it was 3D, you know, I would say it would be really good. It's just a straight burning upgrade. But yeah, I don't know. It kind of fits the game, like this art style. It might be a bit cartoony, like too cartoony, but I think it's okay. I don't really want to talk about how things fit the game or not. I just want to talk about from the trader perspective. This thing kind of sucks. Like, if you look at it from this way, you know, it's basically worse Cuban Smoke. It has literally the same like particles as Cuban Smoke until you look from the side. And you know, if you're paying that much for an unusual that only looks good when you look from the side, yeah, I don't think you're making the right decision. So this on low tier hats would probably sell. You know, it's a cool way to get, you know, a burning. Like the thing is, if it goes for more than burning, then it kind of fucking sucks. But yeah, I mean, some people could like it, but I don't like 2D effects. I think this is honestly, I think this is slightly better than the fish. Like the fish is you know, they do something unique, but this one is cool. Like you know, from the side it looks really cool, and it's almost like an upgraded burning. I would put this on top of the fish in D tier. I think that's fair. Next one we have Scorch Scalp. So Scorch Scalp is the green version. I don't know if there are trails on this. I don't think there is. Yeah, there's a very light trail, but it looks like shit on third person, so I'm probably not doing it justice. This is just the green version of what we saw. It's team colored. There's red and blue. I think the blue one is really nice. You don't have that many like vibrant blue effects in the game, especially like a blue flame. That's not very common in TF2. I don't think there is another blue flame effect. So you know, like for that, I would probably put Melting Mohawk in C, the previous one. I'll upgrade that to a C. This one stays D. This one, yeah, same thing as the previous one. Doesn't really, I mean, it's kind of unique in the sense that it's a really cool animated effect, but 2D just fucking stinks. So I'd put this at the top of D. Yeah, probably top of D. Next one we have Ignited Crest. So Ignited Crest is the purple version, so there are 3 colors, team colored, green and purple. People love purple. So interesting thing, there are not many purple flame effects in the game. There's Eerie Orbiting Fire, there's Poison Shadows. There's no purple flame effect in the game. So people have been wanting purple flame effects for a very long time. So, you know, I could see it be very desired by some people, you know, to match it with Poison Shadows. So like maybe on a quick switch misc, or they have a Poison Shadows misc, which is not very common. Just for that, just because it's a purple flame effect that people have been wanting for a long time, I think this gets B tier. I think this jumps a couple tiers. Definitely better than team colored ones. It's something that people have been wanting. I would put it between B and A tier. I think this goes in B tier just because it's purple flames. That's how much it upgrades. Even though it's 2D, You know, if it was 3D, S tier, like top of S tier. But because it's 2D, I would probably put it in B tier. There would be a lot of people that want it, just because it's Purple Flames. I can see a lot of people wanting it, so maybe in low A tier. But I think we don't have anything in B tier, so I'd probably put it in B tier. Top of B, probably top of B. Next one we have is Rare Shine. See, I got a bitch about this one. I really don't like how this one looks. It used to be a lot smaller. It definitely got a lot bigger than what it used to be. It used to be half the size of this. I think they made it bigger. It's just, I mean, you can see it from a distance, but I feel like it just doesn't provide anything unique. I don't know how to sell a Rare Shine hat. Like, you know, it's... So there's another effect, and I gotta pull the name up. So there's an effect called Starfire, and I think it looks very similar. I think this one is honestly slightly better because you see, like, you know, the crap bouncing everywhere. This wasn't very popular with the community. Not many people went out of their ways to buy it. Of course, there's not many good hats with this effect, but it does look very similar to Rare Shine. In fact, I personally think it is better than Rare Shine because it just has more going. You know, it has like that Serenus Lumen kind of rippling effect. It has shit bouncing off it. You know, it goes really far. Visibility is, I would say, even better than Rare Shine. So just going off that, like the fact that you have to compete with this, you have to compete with, and people say it's like Frostbite, so you have to compete with Frostbite. I don't know. I don't think Rare Shine is very good. People are hyping it up, but I think, you know, once people get over the hype, I think it's like, I think it's just gonna die in people's backpacks. I really don't think it's a good effect. So I'm just recording this. After I finished recording, I realized that Rare Shine pissed me off so much, I forgot to give it a tier. Honestly, for Rare Shine, given that Starfire, or whatever it's called, didn't really do that well, I mean, I just don't really see it doing well. I would probably put it below Cuban Smoke in C tier. So Distant Drift is one of those space effects, and I'm gonna go on a space effect rant. Because, yeah, space effects, we have a lot of them in the game. We have Nebula, Celestial Starburst, the tree from Celestial Starburst. We have Cosmic Constellations, we have North Star. We have a bunch. And the problem with this is it's the worst. It's the worst space effect in the game. It's very translucent. It doesn't look that good. I would say it's a straight downgrade from Starburst. So I don't know. It just seems hard to sell. Like it's a space effect, yeah, but you have to keep in mind, oh, if I list this hat, I need to make sure that I list it lower than Starburst. I need to make sure I list it lower than you know, the two sister effects of Starburst. Cosmic, I need to list lower than that. I need to list lower than North Star. And I don't know, that just it just feels like shit selling if you have to list lower than all these other effects. It's like, fuck. And I feel like Distant Drift might run into the same issue where they're just better space effects. People are just going to buy the better one, and you're always like kind of in a pickle where you have no choice but to sell it cheap, and it just, you know, why would you buy it, really? I don't really see a reason to buy it. It's not very visible. It's okay. Like, I think Celestial Starburst is infinitely better than this. So the only way I would see it selling is if you just sell it really cheap. It would not sell in the high tiers. Unless the high tier didn't have a Starburst effect, or like Cosmic or whatever. Yeah, I mean, maybe it will sell because it's the only space effect for that hat. So that's probably the kind of exception to it. But other than that, I mean, low tiers would probably sell, but anything like mid tier, I don't see it really going for much or selling well, because they're just better effects. Like even Stellar Ascent, like, so for that I'd probably put it in C tier. I don't know what else is in C tier. I would have to look back, but it's probably like in the middle. In the middle, maybe top of C tier. Next one we have is Warp Drive. I think Warp Drive is a pretty cool effect. I think it's very easy, or it's not very easy to combo, but you can use it to combo with like Time Warps and all that other stuff. Yeah, I think it's a cool effect. It's pretty big. I think they did buff it. When it first came out, it wasn't as big, and I think they increased the radius of the effect. it's cool. It's probably the best kind of like kilowatt variant, because I know there've been a few that've been sapped and all that, and I think this is by far the best. There are people that love electric theme hats. It's probably for them. I do really like it personally. I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty visible, and even the electric stuff is pretty visible. I don't know if there's a trail. Maybe we can take a look. I don't think there's a trail. Doesn't look like it, but I think it's a pretty cool effect. Really not much to say. It's probably the best of the electric effects, so it has that going for it. But the problem is electric effects are generally seen as lower tier, so it does, you know, it kind of gets put down by that. But anyways, I still think it's a pretty good effect. I would probably put it, in terms of like sellability and like how much I like it and how good the effect looks, probably like a B tier, like a low B tier. I would put it above Distant Drift, definitely, because Distant Drift just has like, yeah, it's a space effect, but it just seems like a brick, honestly. But Warp Drive, yeah, slightly better. I think it's way more visible than Distant Drift. You know, if you want to look at this as like stars, you know, you could say this is a space effect. I don't think so, really. But I think this will probably sell well. I think the effect is pretty good. Next one we have OverDrive. So OverDrive is the sister effect of Warp Drive. It's a yellow version. I do have a few issues with OverDrive. It has a very brown tone. Yeah, it has a very brown tone, and that might make it a bit harder to see. In some cases, it's a bit harder to combo with certain effects, because you can't really put Kilowatt with this. Kilowatt is way too yellow. So, you know, I would say it's slightly less visible than the white version, you know, if we compare it. So I would put this below the white version. In fact, this is me again in post, because I clearly did not have any idea what I was talking about. I wanted to put this at the bottom of C tier, and yeah, that's just what I wanted to do. Yeah, I mean, it's an electric effect. It's just not as good as the white one, so you have to compete with the white one, and yeah, I think you know, that just makes it a bit harder, really, when it comes to sister effects. I think it just goes down a tier. Next one we have Butterfly Season. So I would say this is probably the first kind of real summer themed effect. It's good, it's nice, it's unique. I want to show you the trail. So they did make it better. They made it more, they gave it more butterflies. It also has a trail, so there's like butterflies trailing around, so I think that's already has that going for it. The trail is pretty big. I think it's pretty good. Bug effects tend to not sell well, but I think this is hands down best bug effect in the game. It also has something else going for it other than it being a bug effect, which is it's butterflies. You know, a lot of people do like the butterfly kind of femboy theme when it comes to TF2, so it has a lot of themed hat potential. You know, there's jungle reefs, there's head prizes, there's a whole bunch of hats that people like it on. Piffies, I've seen Piffies sell for a lot. So just because of that, and the fact that, you know, you don't really have butterfly effects in the game. If someone wanted a butterfly effect, they have to get this. They can't really get anything else. And a lot of people do like butterflies. I'd put it in, honestly, in B tier. I think they are fairly sellable. Really depends on hat. That's the kind of issue with it. It's really kind of hat dependent. You would need a hat that not looks good with butterflies, but more so is something that someone would want butterflies would get with butterflies, if that makes sense. So I can see the butterflies being a fairly easy sell. I personally really do like the effect as well. It has a nice trail. It looks decent. It's very visible for a bug effect. Like it's very, very visible. I'd probably put this at top of B tier. I think it's a really good effect. I think it should be fairly easy to sell. From what I've seen so far, a lot of people have been buying them up, especially Piffies. I think all the Piffies belong to one guy. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard to go wrong with butterflies. Next one we have Psychodelic. So Psychodelic it doesn't have any sister effects. It's just kind of, I've seen some people describe it as time warp of flowers. I personally think it's really cool. It's fairly visible from range. Almost has like a time warpish effect. It's definitely smaller. But common theme, you know, it has nice colors. And flowers are not very common in TF2. We don't really have many flower effects. We do have perennial petals, but that was a summer effect. That was a summer locked hat. So back in the day, summer effects could only be unboxed on summer hats, like summer case hats. And perennial petals was one of those hats, or one of those effects locked in the hat. So there isn't really good choice for flower hats. So, you know, just because of that, just because, you know, yeah, it's a flower themed thing. I feel like it could sell. Like, I think it looks pretty good. It's fairly visible. It has that flower theme going for it. You know, if people want a flower hat, they're kind of relegated to this. I've seen people buy that perennial petals hat on fucking atrocious hats just because it has flowers. So just because of that. And I think, you know, it has more going for it than the butterflies, and I think it has as much kind of femboy driving force going for it. It doesn't have that themed factor as much as the butterflies. Like, no, you're like, yeah, it looks good on a jungle reef. Yeah, honestly, yeah, it probably looks good on a jungle reef. But maybe a head price. Actually, yeah, you know, it's I would say themed wise, it's probably as good as butterflies. So I would probably put this in A tier. I think it's very, very solid effect. I think it's fairly easy to sell, or it will be fairly easy to sell. And I think, you know, I don't know the prices on it. I haven't seen many sell it, but, you know, I think they will go up over time. It's not something that will really go down just because it's flowers. People like flowers. Next one we have Bewitching Bugs. This is the last one. So I have a lot to say about this. By a lot, I mean it's good. I think it's a very unique take on the bugs. It's very, very, very visible. It's very easy to tell. We don't have many of like... It's almost like Poison Shadows. I mean, you know, it's not really comparable, but the size of the orbitals, you know, they're big. I like the trails. The trails are amazing. All the sparkles, all that. So, and I do know a lot of people that like it. Again, it has the same thing going for it, like the butterflies. It's a lot more visible than the butterflies. So if I think I put the butterflies in B, Psychodelic in A, I think this one, because people like the sparkles, people like purple, very visible effect, I think this goes in S. Is it better than the crowns? I think it depends. I think it's easier, it'd probably be easier to sell than the crowns. But the crowns also have their kind of themed hats. So it really depends what hat it's on. I feel like it could be easier to sell than the crowns. It's very space-like, or not really space-like, but you know, it goes well with a lot of effects. I think it's a good combo effect as well. So I would probably put it in S tier, probably above the crowns. Yeah, I think I'd put it above the crowns. I think that makes sense. It's very unique. I mean, it's the second butterflies effect that we have. I'm not sure if there's a trail. I can probably check. It's the second butterflies effect in the game. Of course, the other one being in this update. So, not really a trail. Kinda. I mean, they just kind of go where they want. I think that's really cool. But yeah, it's just an upgraded version of the butterflies. You're not really competing with much. Yeah, I would just put it in S tier. I think this is probably the best effect from this update. And yeah, I mean, Reverie might get higher prices. I know a lot of people like Reverie. Reverie might get high prices, but I think looks wise and, you know, going into the future wise, it's an effect that is fairly unique until something else comes out. I mean, it's gonna be pretty hard to beat. I think the trails really add a lot to the effect. If it didn't have the trails, this would probably be below Butterfly Season, but the trails just add so much more to the effect, so I'd probably put this in S tier. Alright, thank you. That's it for my tier list. Somewhere on the screen will be the tier list. Yeah, I know it's probably pretty controversial. It's not what a lot of people expect out of the effects. I'm just giving my opinion. I think this would be probably fairly easy to sell along with the crowns. Reverie, it looks good. It might fetch high prices to people that want it, but it's just, you know, the fact that you have to fight with an already really good effect like Sunbeams, it just, you know, it's hard. Because Sunbeams isn't a god tier effect. So when we had Stellar Ascent and Spellbound, of course, when you compare those two, it's really easy to make Stellar Ascent good, or it's really easy to sell Stellar Ascent, because no matter what, it will be cheaper than Spellbound. Spellbound is so expensive. No matter what you do, it's like people see it as a good deal. It's like Spellbound, but it's cheaper and it's more visible. Why not? But when it comes to Rainbow Reverie, I wouldn't say it's a lot more visible than Sunbeams, and I would say it's probably going to be around the same price. So, or it's probably going to be more expensive, right? So it really makes it difficult to sell. It's very, you know, it's a complete opposite of Stellar Ascent and Spellbound, where this is going to be more expensive. There needs to be a better value proposition than it's Sunbeams, but smaller, and it has a bit more of a rainbow aura around it. I think it's going to be a hard sell for a lot of good hats, but we'll see. I might be wrong on everything. I could be wrong on everything, but who knows. See you next time.